welcome to the Steve Calis show. Finally, we've got a podcast together. It's been hard work getting something out there that I'm happy with, but finally it's here. And to all my listeners, thank both of you for tuning in. And I want to do a proper introduction, actually. So I was wrestling with what my introduction voice. Okay, so I've gone with my normal voice, which is the hey, this is the Steve Calis show. Okay, which is good. We think that.
Yeah, it's good.
I was wrestling with the Alan Rickman. Hello. Welcome to the Steve Calis show. I was wrestling with the this is a Harry Potter themed introduction. Okay. I was wrestling with the Professor McGonagall introduction.
The McGonagall is bang on.
Yeah. Harry Potter! But I think for now, maybe it's a safe bet. Otherwise, we're going to alienate listeners. So just to stick with the original introduction. So welcome everyone, and I'd like to introduce you to two of my closest friends who I'm honoured to have on my very, very first podcast. I'll start by introducing Jacob. Jacob is an enigma. He's someone.
So true. So true.
Some people say that he is the main cause for global warming and dissent in the Middle East. I don't think any of that's true. But Jacob, how are you?
That's a beautiful introduction. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Dissent in the Middle East. That's me. That's my fault. Whole socio-political issues going on around the world. That's all me.
Yeah, I'm just riffing, man.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I'm good.
Good. And my other guest is Roxy. Now, you might remember Roxy because she was the star of Xena Warrior Princess in the 90s. So, Rox, what have you been doing since then?
Why is it always Senior Warrior Princess?
I don't know, but right now the professional introductions are out of the way. Before we start recording, I was riffing about lizards, as I often do, and Roxy mentioned that she wasn't sure who David Icke was, and that is a good place to start any podcast, I think.
That's not a lizard's name, David Icke.
No, he's not the lizard.
David Icke's not the lizard.
Oh, okay.
David Icke is the advocate. He's trying to warn us. He's trying to let us know that the world is run by, I think, moon lizards now. I think
they're moon lizards.
Yeah, I think they're lizards. Lizards that dwell. Oh no, I think they live in a different dimension, but their main base is a moon base.
I thought it was like an interdimensional thing. And
yeah, I think they're I think they.
Does the Hollow Earth thing fit into that somewhere as well?
I think you can chuck it in. I mean, it's all nonsense. So you can just pretend you can throw anything in there, and so moon base lizards, rocks. I think that pretty much covers what we need to know about that, mate. So.
What?
Yeah, I don't think we need to discuss anything else about that.
These are people that think that like presidents are lizards and stuff.
And the Queen. Yeah, the Queen.
Well, the Queen's obviously a lizard.
Yeah, because they are immortal, aren't they? The royal family. Like, the Queen Mother lived to be 198 or something.
She just all the money in the world. You just throw it into preserving your aging body.
Oh, it's one of those things where none of her organs are her own anymore.
She's hot.
They're all.
She's a hollow.
Oh, well, she's hot.
Yeah, I thought you said
she's handsome.
Yeah, she is. She's a good-looking lady.
She's a handsome woman. But
But
it's just because she's wearing a face mask from a victim. Anywho, so what we did today is I've had my friend Jake around. So when we release the podcast on YouTube and hopefully iTunes, I'll put a link to Jake's page because he's the one in charge of all of this, all the technical stuff that we've been doing here, and I'm very, very happy. So we just recorded 2 episodes about mental health and about the scientific method, which a lot of people don't know a lot about, but which is mega important. That's basically the process of like understanding things, like how scientists get from having an idea to then doing the experiment,
getting it by testing it.
Yeah, right, that's right. Yeah. Because once it's been tested, it goes through. Other scientists basically have to validify it. It has to be peer tested, peer reviewed. And so I did a whole episode on that because that's important. Because that's why people can just fucking stumble on conspiracy theories, and because someone's like passionate about what they say. I did an experiment once in school. I think it was year 10, because my friend who shall remain nameless, my friend,
Former friend.
yeah, yeah, but he's been a believer in conspiracy theories for years and years and years.
Oh, I know who we're talking about now. Yeah,
yeah. And I said, I bet I can manage to convince people that they're of any conspiracy theory. Just chuck words into a hat and pull them out, and we land on something like I think it was like squid, overlord, and something to do with rollerblades, right? And something.
It literally is names out the hat, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
you
right.
could see that somewhere on an article on the internet.
Yeah,
Rollerblade and squids. Let's do it.
It's the future, baby. But yeah, and so we managed to convince a lot of year sevens, like just a lot of little kids, about this thing, because we spoke real serious, and I was saying, I was going, God, people don't know. People don't know that these octopuses, they've been harvesting human flesh in order to make the wheels on rollerblades, and we managed to rope them in. Only a few.
It's important to educate the youth.
Yeah, we didn't use the scientific method in this. It was a small focus group, but people are just roped in. So what do you make of conspiracy theories? Because they drive me nuts. I can't be impartial. I try and be philosophical about it. I try and be calm and meditative about the whole thing. But as soon as someone says flat Earth, I just lose my mind.
Yeah, it's difficult because you want to try and have a rational conversation about it,
But
and
they're
you can
being
provide.
stupid.
Well, yeah, that's what you're trying to avoid getting at. Is
Yeah.
they're just stupid.
Yeah.
You kind of want to show them no, you just misunderstand, and if I provide you the evidence and the facts, and the Earth's round.
Yeah.
But you can't argue with someone. It's conviction that strongly.
Yeah, but if you've got the evidence and you can prove it, and it's right in front of their faces, when they still refuse to agree that, I can't deal them with that.
Yeah, like photos of the Earth.
Yeah.
Like this. And
They're put together by NASA as Photoshop.
yeah, I was looking into how many people have worked in the scientific community over the last sort of decade, and how many people work for NASA, right? And there's millions of people altogether. There's millions of scientists working now who work in geology and
All under very strict NDAs to not talk about how the Earth is actually
and not
flat.
one of them has spilled the beans.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, God, the President Clinton has an affair with Monica Lewinsky, right?
Yeah.
And they can't keep that shit down. They can't keep that hidden. That's out there.
It's
What I
gonna
always
get.
remember with that is did you ever use LimeWire to download music?
Music, sure.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Wait.
As all teenage
Listen to
boys
that.
using LimeWire.
Oh, okay, well that's what I used it for. And all the time, if you looked for something obscure, there would always be a download available for anything you searched for. But there was this one that cropped up all the time, and it was always Bill Clinton saying, I did not have sexual relations
I
with
did
that
not
woman.
have
There we
sexual
go.
relations with that woman.
Why is that all over LimeWire? Or was?
Yeah, we're talking like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more than 10 years ago, we old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up with like 20 different copies of the same blimmin' file. It was just him saying that all the time.
That's weird.
And now any time anyone mentions Clinton, that's all I could think of.
Oh, right.
You'd have been more disappointed getting that from your searches.
If I'm typing in the things I was typing in, music related, obviously.
Music related.
If I'm looking for some really good Asian music,
Yeah.
and Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky or Bill Clinton's voice comes up, then might
Kinda
spur
kills
me
the
on,
vibe,
might
doesn't
ruin
it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I feel like we're getting into shadowy territory
Yeah.
because the point of the podcast is to, and the first few episodes are key in drawing in an audience because I want to help educate people the way I'm sort of trying to educate myself. I know I'm reading a lot at the moment. I've stumbled across like some really awesome books, and one of my favourite authors at the moment, and this is someone who I highly recommend to anyone listening, is Steven Pinker. Have you ever heard of Steven Pinker?
I don't think so.
I think you've mentioned.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
mention him in passing, but
Basically, he's like a polymath. He's a genius, really clever guy, and I really respect the things that he says. And he's written loads of books about how things actually aren't all that bad. Like he wrote a book about how violence has declined, and he argues that we're living in one of the most peaceful eras in human history.
Really?
Yeah, the problem is the exposure of violence is now all over the shop. You can't.
everyone sees everything as soon as it happens, so everyone's
That's right.
more aware. Yeah.
Yeah, and right from the start of the book, I actually was reading it earlier and nodded off. I almost didn't answer the door to Jake again. I'm just so bloody unorganised. First time Jake came round, it was a misunderstanding where I thought it was coming in the evening. So I was prepared. I went to sleep. I got entirely nude, went to bed, and so set my alarm for 10 p.m. But I went to bed in the afternoon. But he turned up at 10 a.m., which is what we had to actually arrange.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And so I just scrabbled to the door in my pants, all confused, and I thought it was an angry driving instructor, but that's a story for another time. But
Are you expecting an angry driving instructor to come through the door?
yeah, I had a weird experience with the driving instructor where I did, and I know I'm always wrong about things when it comes to this, and I'm really disorganised, but I booked him for a date, right? Not for a date. I was like, hey man, I like the look of your thing. Like, we were going to get some wine, but it wasn't like a romantic date. Although I wouldn't have been opposed to it, because he was dreamy. He had these really lovely blue eyes. I digress.
Anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Jakey. So, we booked an appointment for my very first driving lesson, and I waited for ages and he didn't turn up. And I rang him and he said, I said, hey, I'm ready for the driving lesson. And he said, oh, don't worry about it.
What?
I said,
we're doing another time.
Yeah. I said, all right, okay. I don't know how to react, so I hung up. And 3 days later, I came past my house, and he was loitering outside the house. And so I'm a coward, so I didn't try and talk to him. I went the long way around my house. Went all the way. I took like another mile-long loop just back there, just so he went away. It took ages for him to go away.
Why don't you just ring you?
I think he'd been trying to, but my phone wasn't silent or I didn't have it. But yeah, he was just stuck there for ages. But then he sent me a message saying, you've missed our appointment. And I thought, oh no, I didn't. You were weird the other day on the phone. But what the fuck was I talking about that for?
You were getting to initially the podcast.
Yeah, no, serious point. So the the intention of the podcast is to give people the resources they need to make decent, informed decisions on certain subjects. So that's why I'm turning the YouTube channel into a hub of lectures and documentaries, just so people can go there and actually get good information.
One place where they can find all the things.
Yeah. Like I've been watching these documentaries and lectures for years, and debates. I love debates. I'm lame enough that I get the same thrill from a debate that people get when they're boxing. Or when they're watching boxing, when they're like, "Oh God, take him down," and they get all passionate about it.
I suppose it's just a battle of wits rather than punching a dude in the head.
Yeah, that's right. If you watch any sort of Christopher Hitchens debate, where there's one debate where he's taken on, it's 4 Christians at the same time.
Yeah.
And I remember, because by the time I discovered him, because he's one of my favourite intellectual heroes, by the time I discovered him, he died. It was a real shame. But I managed to go. But there's a huge backlog of stuff that he's done on YouTube, and it's all debates, and he's just so crisp and witty. So that helped me to form a worldview, and that worldview is logic. How to apply logic to things to make good decisions. So that's the plan. I think that sounds like that's what the goal is for the podcast.
Well, yeah, and that's a good resource to be providing people.
Yeah.
It's like you're digging out the reliable sources for them. Too many people look at the internet and they'll just believe anything that they read.
Yeah, and that's the point I was trying to make earlier about like anyone can make a point. You can string any nonsense together to make a point, right? An argument, and it's really hard to refute. Yeah, like any sort of it's like the exact same as religion. Like it's buried in thousands of years now of scholarly works, of text and history, that it's just you can't. It's so hard to talk someone out of that. Like Richard Dawkins is famous. He's done a really good job, and Sam Harris has done a good job of writing books that are eloquent enough that people have, especially in America. I mean, there's nothing. I'm one of those rare atheists that doesn't have a problem with religion. I actually find it beautiful, and I love the history of the thing. But Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins did a good job of making people feel like it was okay to be atheist, especially in America, where families are really strict on that sort of thing.
It is a lot more. That side of the Atlantic is still so deeply rooted in their society and even in their politics and everything else.
Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah, it's harder to cut through the faith because
that's right.
That's like what I was saying with the flat earthers. It's founded in faith.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to provide what you're doing with the podcast, providing a platform where people can learn properly and kind of make their own decisions, rather than you giving them kind of the knowledge straight off, you're giving them the foundation to find the knowledge themselves, kind of sift through it.
I think people need the tool. I've always thought that in education people should be taught to how to disseminate information properly.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be taught how to learn rather than just studying books and kind of picking out, like with school, you just you do your history and whatever else, but you're not taught how to correctly sift through that information yourself and how to take it on.
Yeah.
When I was in university for my short-lived span in university, my whole term that I did, I had to write a paper on kind of working out what's true and what's false online. So the basis of mine was a website called Bonsai Kittens. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's this disgusting thing.
It's just the cats in jars.
Yeah.
cats in jars?
Yeah,
They're
literally.
not actual cats in jars, but they are
So
cats
it's
in jars.
photoshopped, and they're saying, I think they were saying Japanese people are getting baby kittens and putting them in funky shaped jars, like a star shaped jar or something, keeping this cat in this jar until it becomes that shape, and then breaking the jar. So you've got like a cat shaped deformed kitten strolling about.
Oh wow. So okay. Great.
So the point, which obviously is absurd, but the point of it is there was so many petitions and so many people had signed these petitions to get this website shut down, but it wasn't a real website.
Oh,
it was
right.
made by people in university to prove that people
Oh,
just
the
believe what's online.
parody of the right.
Yeah, you give them a picture and they'll believe it. They won't think that's
because
kind of
they'd
ridiculous.
They'd put like fake testimonials of people that had bought these cats in weird shapes and people that had done it, and they'd put like photos of it, the process of doing it.
Yeah.
And so because that information was there, people believed it. So there was like really angry people just rioting on the internet about these cats that were being raised in jars to become a different shape.
Oh, right. Oh, wicked. I mean, I remember I had to talk to my mum a few months ago because she's someone who that generation, they just sort of they retweet or they share things without looking too much into it.
It is a generational thing, I think, and you get more sceptical as you get younger.
You should have seen this picture of my mum. It was a picture of Tony Blair, and he was sat. It looked like a big aircraft carrier or a big airplane or something, and he sat reading the book with his legs on a soldier's coffin, right? And at the first glance, you go, "Whoa, Tony! What's happening? It's awful." And then you go, "Oh no, wait, his legs are about 15 foot long." So it's just photoshopped horribly. But my mum shared it, and then these people, all sort of the same age as her, were piling in with typical Tony Blair. Like what typical Tony Blair with his spaghetti legs?
He is always putting his spaghetti legs on the coffins.
Yeah. And but it went viral, this thing. So it's hundreds of thousands of people sharing, going, "This is what we're talking about: war criminal, communist, misogynist." And you go, "Whoa!" Right. Same thing's happened to I've noticed recently with Jeremy Corbyn. Now, for the sake of the podcast, I'm apolitical, and I am at the moment anyway. I want to be talked either way into it. I don't want to go into any prior sort of party affiliations. I want to be apolitical. Yeah. But I did notice recently with this whole sort of Russian scandal that we didn't see, or we weren't made aware of any evidence for what happened, right? Because people have got it, but we weren't made aware of it. But I remember Jeremy Corbyn made a point of saying when Boris Johnson and the Conservatives were saying it was the Russians, killing our soil, and they were just rallying for combat. It seemed like they're really intense.
Yeah. And
Jeremy Corbyn says, the equivalent of, we should probably get evidence before accusing.
We should check
before accusing one of the most powerful nations on earth of a crime.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, communist, saying communist, and
that guy's always got everyone in for him, though. Do you see the other thing about Corbyn recently was
feminist thing?
Yeah, so the Labour Party's kind of under fire for being really anti-Semitic, and it being kind of unchecked over the few years. And Jeremy Corbyn was meeting with the wrong Jewish group, apparently, as kind of like a far left.
Yeah.
Judas, something like that.
Jumas.
That's
the
Jewish
equivalent of
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah. But it's like a kind of far left Jewish party. And he was just meeting them, talking. It was some religious festival thing. But everyone is instantly mad at the guy, and he's talking to the wrong people, and he's not dealing with the anti-Semitism in the party. It's just kind of straight away, you all pile on him.
Oh, Jeremy.
I know.
He's
trying. He's trying so hard.
I know, and his public persona, like his public image is a good one by the time it gets to us as well. Like I've always thought, he's just nice old geezer, trying to do some decent things, like a hippie trying to do some good.
He's just a nice old guy, kind of looking out for the little people.
Yeah, and then there's people just like communist, spy, Jew hater. Oh no, that's not fair. But yeah, so but remaining apolitical, because I've been really researching this, and there's pros and cons to both parties in power at the minute. So I think that's important to investigate, because you get people who are sort of Labour or Conservative by birth or by family.
Yeah, that's the strange, because you're not considering the choice. You're not thinking about who's better, who's offering different things.
Yeah,
it's just okay. So my mum voted this way, and our whole family's voted this way, so I am now raised this way, and I do that.
Yeah, I'm against that. I don't think that's wise. I think it's every time there's a big election, you should reevaluate what the plans are.
Well, yeah, because it's fluid. It's ever changing. Even the parties that you think stand for this principle and that principle.
Yeah.
It changes with the politicians that are in the party.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Tony Blair came in, he changed Labour a great deal. I mean, that's the whole, like, the New Labour thing was his idea, changing things up and making it a bit more modern, and because a lot of people didn't want him to come to power or to get the prime ministerial sort of seat because he was going to change things too much. And there's people who was very staunch in their sort of, pre-Labour, pre-New Labour idea.
Which is exactly the same thing that they're going through with Corbyn and have been through.
Yeah, it's mad. So, Rox, you are doing we have to talk about this, but your blog.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? Because I was going through it, and you're twittering so much better than I am. Like, what are you doing differently? Because you've got hundreds of followers, right? I got retweeted by Ricky Bloody Gervais.
I know, 600 likes. That's amazing.
707 now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
See, that's better than anything I've done. So I don't know why you're asking
I've
me.
only got 40 bloody followers. So, so how did you What's your blog about, and what's your plan for it, and how do you Twitter better?
So because I read so much on the Kindle, and I'll go through and look at what's on sale and stuff. And there were some social marketing books in the Kindle sale at one point, so I read through a few of those. And with Twitter, it says you've got to cut it down into 3 parts and spread your time equally. So you should spend a third of your time writing your own content, a third of your time retweeting other people's, and a third of your time engaging in threads. So although I did actually find yesterday that I lose followers if I talk about mental health, and I gain followers if I talk about books.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of saddening, really.
What happens if you tweet about books about mental health? The world
a good
falls into a paradox and the universe explodes.
It's like divided by 0. You can't fathom what would happen.
Yeah.
I've not tried that, but mostly because I don't read self-help books and things like that. They just, I don't know. But so with Twitter, if you look at the most controversial conversations that are happening and you've got your own opinion, if you know your opinion is not going to offend the rest of the world, then just jump in. It doesn't matter if you know. That's the best thing about Twitter as well, is you don't have to know people to join the conversation.
I do worry about weighing in with opinions on things, because especially on Facebook, there's things that pop up and you want to chime in, or you want to sort of mention to someone that is just being heinously unreasonable. But like my social anxiety spills onto my internet self, and I can't even do it there.
So that's because everybody especially on mine, everybody on my Facebook, they're friends and their family, and if they don't agree with your opinions, you can end up sometimes arguing with people, because not everybody wants to listen to other people's point of view or is happy to debate things in an adult way. You get there's so many trolls and stuff on Facebook, and people arguing about the most ridiculous things. Yeah. So on Twitter, the only person on my Twitter account that I know in real life is you.
Oh, cool.
There is not a single other person. So I can say, because I'm comfortable saying anything I want in front of you, I can say anything on Twitter, because my mum's not going to sign on in 5 minutes and see exactly what I've just said and disagree and then be like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's true.
You can be exactly who you want to be without anybody judging you, because none of them on my Twitter account know me.
Fortunately, you didn't use your name for the name of the show.
That's right.
You're still anonymous out on the internet.
I keep posting pictures of me with my Steve Calis show cup that I've made, just posing with it. And I keep forgetting we're doing a podcast and not being filmed, so I keep doing absolutely hilarious movements and facial expressions. You're missing out on podcast people. But yeah, so that's the advice, because I find I'm struggling with Instagram. I've got down. I think Facebook I've always sort of been okay with, because it's just almost like another sense organ. You're so used to using it now.
The other thing with Facebook as well is that all the interest and the support you get on Facebook from your friends and family, and that's a good thing. But on Twitter, where I've got, I think today it's at 690 followers, all those people are following me because they're interested in what I'm saying. It's not my mum oh look, I'm going to follow.
You're so great.
Yeah.
Everything you say
is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not any friends. It's not anybody that just knows me from the town. It's just stalking me or whatever. Content.
That's good, because I know what you mean. Because I could shit in a cup and take a picture of it, and my mum would be like, "Oh,
exactly.
Special, look at that! Oh, he's so proud of you." But yes, that's good. Because Twitter for me is exactly the same. Because I'm being followed by people who. There's a woman who follows me. She's got sort of 30,000 followers, and she's a political commentator in America. Brilliant. I was really chuffed with that, because that's exactly the kind of people I want to draw in. Yeah.
So one retweet from this person is going to reach 30,000 other people which might be interested in the same thing as you.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to jump into threads, because sometimes if you're talking straight at someone, they're just not really interested. But if you're getting into a conversation, however many people are looking at that conversation are going to see your point. And if they agree with it, they're going to click on your profile, they're going to see what else you've been saying.
Yeah.
So you're reaching the exact audience that you want.
Yeah.
Not just people that know you from like primary school or bumped into you in a shop once. It's people that want to know what you're talking about.
Well, I'd hate to digress, but you'll be thrilled to know that this is the section of the show. I'm doing this off the cuff.
Right.
That I'm going to call Steve's Joke of the Week.
Oh, God.
And this is the jingle. Steve's Joke of the Week. I'm working on the jingle. Steve's Joke of the Week. I'm working on the jingle.
Right.
So this is to... hopefully my friend Kev is listening, because he liked one... I've got 2 jokes. Okay. Steve's 2 jokes of the week. Steve's 2 jokes... Thanks, man. Okay, I'm working on the jingle. So I've got 2 jokes. And one of them, no one's ever laughed at. Okay?
Oh, why have you got to set it up like that? You know I'm going to laugh.
Because, yeah, but this time, maybe you won't.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make any sense. It's not funny. It's not really a joke.
Is that the joke?
With that in mind, here we go. Now, this makes me chuckle every single time. But I'm the only person on planet Earth that makes laughs. Right, so I've got to compose myself. When I did this, because we've recorded 2 podcasts before, and I've done these jokes, and they were entirely unsuccessful there also. But here we go. So, my first joke. What did... it's all about delivery of this one, because it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
What did Batman say to Robin before getting in the Batmobile? He said, "Hey, get in the Batmobile." Right, that's joke number 1.
That's terrible.
Thank you very much. Now this is actually a good joke, but I just got to deliver it properly, okay? So, there's a penguin driving through the desert. So we're already off on a good start, because that's made me laugh already. So there's a penguin driving through the desert, and its engine starts spluttering and spitting, making all kinds of horrible noises. And he thinks, "Oh, bollocks, I've got to do something about this." So he's driving through, and he sees there's a garage next to a restaurant, okay? So he takes the car into the garage, and the guy says, "Well, do you want? Go get yourself something to eat. Come back in an hour, I'll let you know what's wrong with the car." And Penguin says, "Oh, mate, great, groovy. It was groovy." And so he goes next door to the restaurant, and he orders loads of vanilla ice cream. So he loves vanilla ice cream.
How's he going to eat it with flippers?
That's the question, isn't it? So he starts flipping it. He starts flipping the vanilla ice cream into his mouth, and it's going all over his chest. He's making a huge meal of it because he's eating litres of the stuff, loads and loads of it. So after an hour, he leaves the restaurant covered in vanilla ice cream. Goes to the mechanic, and he says, "So what's up then?" And the mechanic says, "Well, it looks like you've blown a seal." The penguin says, "No, it's just vanilla ice cream." That was Steve's Jokes of the Week. Right, anyway. So the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
I'd also like to bring Jake into this, if it will pick you up and you're comfortable talking, because I would like to first of all thank you for the hard work that you do, because it's good, because I'm rubbish and I wouldn't be able to do anything otherwise. But I don't know if you want to take a minute to talk about like your business, or what it is you do, and promote your stuff.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. Thank you.
No problem.
So yeah, I run a business called Upstroke.photography. I specialise in wedding photography, and I also specialise in commercial photography, and I also make videos and record podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I am a content creator essentially, based in Bristol. Yeah.
Great. That's
pretty much it.
Yeah, and so and you can see that Jake's done a good job because my face is fine on podcasts, but it's also, I look sort of like I look like a child has been asked to make a statue out of potatoes. And I am the end result of that. but somehow Jake managed to make me look good. So if anyone's listening, if there's anyone out there, and I'll put a link up on the Facebook page as well. Go check out Jake's photo because the photos are beautiful. They're really, really well done.
Thank you, man.
So yeah, and so Roxy, how can people find you on social media and stuff? Like if you want to.
Oh, they can't yet.
You ain't finding her.
No.
You ain't gonna get her.
The blog is relaunching on my 30th birthday, which is 22nd of August. So I'm sure I will be talking to you before then. And if I'm happy with it, then I might tell you.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, then no one knows.
Okay, that's great. So Jacob. Oh, Jacob. Right. So Jacob. Jacob's here, and I'm excited about it. So Jacob, and this is serious. So Jacob's been one of my closest friends for years, and is frustrating in so many ways because as a musician, is ludicrously talented. So yeah, so Jacob and Roxy are an item. So Roxy can attest this, and all of our close friends can. Jacob is just a ludicrous magician, really, really magician. You should see him walking through walls, and as well as being a ludicrous magician, he's also an excellent musician, and but really is like mega talented. There's songs that whenever we used to go on like long drives, you put playlists on of your favourite tunes so your mates can jam out. And Jacob's songs are so good that they're always on our playlist because like, and as a writer, like the songs you write they're so much better than almost anything else you can hear. It's beautiful. You're a very, very talented man. So how do people find what you're doing there?
They don't.
These two are an enigma.
We'll ever find you. Thank you. That's very nice to hear. It's all still kind of in the works.
Yeah.
I kind of feel I'm getting to a point where I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
So I'm writing, recording at the moment. An album is coming eventually.
Hello.
Hopefully this year.
Yeah.
We're both just we're working on it. We want to make sure it's all done before
I
it comes out
understand.
there.
It's like a slow behind the scenes development thing, and then hopefully it'll just you pass it off to the world, and you know.
I understand that. I mean, that's been the exact same stress with the podcast. We've already recorded 2 episodes, and I've essentially just scrapped them both for a minute because this is our art. This is the thing that represents our artistic side and deep parts of ourselves as well. In a blog, podcast, music, these are our actual selves.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to make sure you're representing yourself as best as you can. But for both of those things, if you feel like you want to promote them, I'll put them straight up on the Facebook page. And Jake, I'll try and find any song you've already got on YouTube that you're happy with. Send me the link and I'll put them on Facebook. But otherwise, I'll wait till you're ready. But anyway, so I think that's probably a good. Unless someone else has got something you want to discuss or bring up. So follow me on bloody Twitter, will you people? Because something like 270,000 people saw Ricky Gervais retweet my thing.
I know. I looked at his stats.
Right?
Yeah, Rock said, and that's just kind of like mind-blowing numbers.
Yeah,
Just go engage with them.
Yeah,
start chatting.
Yeah, but the problem is, I still only got 40 followers. I got 20 followers out of that whole thing.
The other thing with Twitter as well is there are so many people that they just follow you because they want you to follow back. So they'll appear and you think, oh, my numbers are really high, and then you lose 5 people because they've gone through the list and gone, oh, you don't follow me, so I'm not gonna follow you.
I see. Yeah.
And then there's the bots that are they're not even human and just
robots taking over.
Yeah, obviously,
Skynet's on the way.
Next
so
episode.
Do it. Yeah.
People on Twitter are always very wary that they're talking to a real person.
Yeah.
So once you engage directly with them, they're more likely to follow you back. So just liking something isn't enough. You need to comment on something that they've written or respond to them in some way, and then they'll follow you.
Yeah, that's good advice. And also, don't do heroin and drive. I think we all agree that that's.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
after the last time. But yeah, so thank you guys for coming on and doing the podcast. I think it's been good. I think I've really enjoyed it. It's been good content. And I think anyone who's listening and tuned in, like your support means the world to what I'm doing here. This episode was just to have a chat with some friends and relax. But the next few episodes, what we're going to try and work on is getting people on to talk about important subjects. If you're a doctor or a scientist or a businessman or woman, if you've got something interesting to say or teach us about, me and my audience, then please get in contact with us so that we can get you on the show. You can teach us. I want to learn. I'm not here to debate anyone. I've noticed this reluctance with local politicians especially. There's reluctance to do shows like this because they think there's an agenda that I'm trying to paint them in a bad light. But that's not the case here.
You're letting them paint themselves, aren't you, really?
Yeah, I'm just giving them a free platform for as long as they want to talk. to talk about whatever they want to. The same with anyone else they get on the show. So it's free, it's fun. So get in contact and bloody follow me on Twitter, will you? So thanks to Jacob, Roxy, and Jake. You've all been great.
Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in. This was the Steve Calis Show. See you next time.